this small book gives you a very good perspective on the mood prevalent in early Christianity. There is an occult magic to this early manifestation of said religion, and what I mean is you have dark magic, initiation into mysteries, and a strongly devotional mood all packed into this wonderful work. If you want to hear more about it, stay tuned. Welcome to Biblical Cultists, where I review books that I find interesting in the topics of religion, philosophy, history, and fiction. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, like the video, share the video, and comment on the video. Doing all these things really helps the channel out. Also, check out my merch if you want to support what I do here, and follow me on X as well. Finally, in the pinned comment, I'll put my Amazon affiliate link in which I list all the books that I review here. And if you buy it through that link, the channel gets a small percentage for that. And it really helps out to finance this project, and I really appreciate it. In this episode, I am reviewing the Martyrdom of Saint Cyprian by Aelia Eudocia Augusta, which is apparently the Byzantine pronunciation at the time. Now, this edition is wonderful by Black Letter Press from 2023, and it takes a lot of the main sources that we have for this poem and a few others and puts together this very nice work. It updates the language, makes it a highly enjoyable book, packed with a lot of information, so I'll try to go through it as quickly as possible here. Now, first, let's start with the author. Aelia Augusta was a real empress from the 5th century, and she was also a very influential writer. So she stemmed from a pagan family, that's her background, but once she married Emperor Theodosius II, she converted to Christianity, and from her writings, not only this one, but she has other poems out there as well, you can see that she is a mixed bag of her pagan heritage and her Christian religion. And again, to clarify, as I always do, the term pagan unfortunately now has a lot of relevant meaning, although its origin kind of points to the fact that it is somewhat of an empty term. It's used more as an insult or as a generic description, not really used to specify any particular real practices. So it would be almost like a blanket term of anything but Christianity at the time. Although these days, even though there's that element there, a lot of people, when they say pagan, they think of very particular European type of neo-paganism, but that's a different topic. Now, in this particular work, we get an important picture of how Christianity manifested in these early centuries. She was alive during the councils of Ephesus and Chalcedon, and although her works didn't really reflect the theological controversies at the time, one would be the Theotokos, whether Mary was the mother of God or the mother of Jesus, meaning whether Jesus was God fully integrated into one being, or could you make a distinction, a separation between the Son and the man and God incarnate? Now, this is interesting as a side point because today many Protestants fall back into the heresy that was fought at her time. The reason that the term Theotokos, of God-bearer, mother of God, was to make a theological point. She gave birth to God as a unit. So the God-man cannot be separated into one section being man and another section being God, without both of them being also one being who is God. So they would say one person with two natures. Now this becomes a controversy with the Robber Council of Ephesus, which was also during her time. But this is a separate discussion. Again, it's a complex theological point. Her works don't really go into any of this, but keep in mind, she is around when this issue of who Jesus is within the context of Christian orthodoxy, and this is crucial when you read it. Now, without spoiling the story, although it's somewhat known for those that are into this kind of topic, the main character is Justa, who is a simple, devout girl who suddenly finds herself accosted by some degenerate merchant industry who's trying to woo her. Justa, as a very pious Christian girl, she refuses his advances because of honor and dignity and all the basic values of Christianity, and thus he becomes incensed and offended by this, that some simple girl would dare refuse him, and therefore he decides to go to the local black magician, the sorcerer of the town, and ask him for his help, in which he proceeds to help by invoking demons and try to basically manipulate her into his arms. Now, with that context, I'll read a quote of the book that I think will give you a flavor of it. Cyprian answered, "In my heart I know Christ is mighty this night. I sent great demons against this girl, a holy girl, to cast about her wicked bonds, but she scattered them all with the sign of Christ's cross. Please pity me, hear me, accept my supplication. Most holy of men, take these my books, with which I've worked numberless wickedness. Burn them, please, for the sake of my soul." Now, in that short quote, you get a lot of cool stuff in there. First, you have this sorcerer who realizes that no matter how many things he sends her way, all she has to do is cross herself and be safe. Now, this crossing as a protection from sorcery and being harassed by demons and the evil eye, etc., is important because if you notice, at the time of the author, the sign of the cross had gone from the forehead to the full body cross, which is the one we would see today for those that are Orthodox and Catholic. Although, to be fair and to be accurate, the sign of the cross that she was doing and the girl in the story is doing is the Eastern Orthodox cross, because it was done the traditional way, which is forehead, belly, or chest in some cases, and then right shoulder and then left shoulder. It was only around the 10th century that the West inverted the order of the cross and they started doing it from the left shoulder to the right. But the traditional way was done, and is still done, from the right shoulder to the left. Now, the position of the fingers, that's somewhat of a mystery because it was not codified or really practiced in any particular way. There's evidence that people use 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 finger. So that is something that came later, but the sign of the cross was done as we would see it today in most Orthodox countries. Now, this story of the righteous girl, Justa, also highlights the importance of initiation into Christianity at the time, quite similar to the ancient mystery religions, that you could call them prototypes. Although it's easy for someone to say, hey, a lot of these rituals seem familiar and similar to Mithraic mystery religions, etc., etc. There's a lot of them at the time. But if these religions and cults are all in the same era and come from the same sources, then you could argue that none of them are really copying anyone. It's just part of the nature of the religion. After all, there are animal sacrifices in the Old Testament, and you also see that in Rome and Greece, in the Nordic tribes, etc. So it's not like anyone is copying anyone. This was just a standard behavior of most religious systems at the time. But even though you still have the initiation rituals that you will find in traditional Christianity, you don't see it anymore in these kind of modern strip mall type religions that are not really in any way connected to actual Christianity. They don't have these kinds of things, but traditional Christianity still sustains a certain process of initiation that requires particular rituals, and even though they're not as strict as they used to be, and that's pretty clear. The second part in this book is my favorite because it goes now to the magician who has a change of heart and converts, and then once you enter that world, then you also get a picture of the pagan world. Again, how it's described, the rituals that are being described by Christians, but they do exist. It's not the same thing for us who can speak of these ancient pagans, and it's all anecdotal evidence or historical evidence, but we can't really see them. Whereas the people in the story not only can see them, but a lot of them participated in these cults. So they have a first-hand connection to them. Now, is there any kind of exaggeration in a lot of these things? Maybe, but it seems that the history points to the probability that it is not that exaggerated. So in one book, you get a picture into early Christianity and a picture into late paganism. Now, for that reason, let me quote another section of the book in which these things are described. Nothing about that place, Memphis, was hold or good. Nothing anyone should touch. Nothing you should choose. I saw there the image of blood-spattered falsehood, the three-headed faced statue of terrifying lust, blood-soaked and black-scorched, frothing and bile-flecked. I saw there the image of savage-winged wrath, bestial and brought low, wild-eyed and cruel, and there was deceit, furtive and secretive, wearing a gown of duplicitous speech. I saw there the image of stomach-churning hatred, blind facing forwards, four eyes looking back, in spite of the daylight, shunning the light of the sun. From his head grew feet, a host of little feet. Honestly, horror enough, no stomach has he befitting his ruthlessness, his unfeeling pursuit. So here we get, again, a very dramatic picture of pagan rituals and traditions, and he goes through the story because he studied in these places and he learned his sorcery, conjured demons, etc. from these schools. So again, very fascinating to just consider the fact that you would have these universities of sorcery and black magic. So just for that, it's a very cool thing to find out about and read. Especially the fact that most occultists, as you know them today, they stem from a very early manifestation of these kinds of speculations, right? Rosicrucian manifestos, Masonry, theosophical contexts, and all the rest. So to read something that goes a little bit closer to the source and that has this mood is very cool. And I know this is probably why is a book you'll probably find in the libraries of many occultists, just because it has that element. Now, the final battle between the saint and the demons is epic, and the language that is used is very dramatic and I would say even modern in its sensibility, because it uses harsh and strong words to attack the demon, and demon attacks back, defending his sovereignty over the black magician. So that again is very cool to have that personal exchange between the devils and the sorcerers. So like I said, as a work of art, it's wonderful. As a piece of history, it's invaluable because you get so much information of the time, and you would benefit as a Christian and as an occultist, which is a weird thing to know, right? That you can actually get from one single book two different people that have different interests colliding into one single small book that you can find something valuable in it. So for that reason, it's a very cool addition to my library. I'll find whatever edition I can, if I can, in Amazon and put it on my list. And hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you want to say something about it, or if you have a perspective on early Christian practices, if you have a suggestion for me, put it in the comments. I'll be more happy to address it there. So please remember to subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, like the video, share the video, and comment on the video. Thank you for being with me. See you next time.